Hello, all viewers, and welcome back. Today, you'll be getting a little bit of an overview on your immune system. This system is very important as it handles all the defense of your body, and I'll be going through the roles today of the immune system, and then we'll move on to the different organs of the immune system, different components that help defend our body, and then we'll go through all the cells and their functionalities as to defending our body. And then at the end, we'll be running through some things that you can do to help your immune system in this fight. So here is your guide to the immune system. So here are all the functions. The main functions of the immune system are the immune system is your defense against pathogens trying to harm your body. Pretty obvious. Invaders come, they get clapped by the immune system, and the immune system's got a complex network of cells. They have different jobs for the defense. Some are direct attackers, some are intelligence and recon cells, some are guards, some are weapons factories, and the immune system closely coordinates with other systems to monitor the health of the body. Here's some important organs. Here's the thymus. Looks like this. Um, it's only functional up to puberty. Then it atrophies and gets replaced with fat. Thus, it helps to develop immunity during the childhood and trains fighting T cells by secreting the hormone called thymosin. Then there's your thyroid. This induces the production and the release of cytokines, and it regulates the activity of the immune system. It oversees the metabolism as well. Here's your bone marrow. Now, the bone marrow is important because it creates the white blood cells, and T and B lymphocytes mature here. Also, it is very transferable as it is widely used in stem cell therapy. So, if you don't got if you don't have the adequate number of cells, or yours are just not working, then you can take it from a healthier person. So here's the lymphatic system as well. This component contains all the supplementary parts of the immune system, like the lymph nodes, spleen, lymph vessels, adenoids, skin, and liver. Functions of the cells. So here's the macrophage. The macrophage is one of the guard cells. It's responsible for communications. It kills pathogens, and it causes inflammation. That's why when you get a cut, you see a bit of swelling. That's because of the macrophages there. And it also activates other cells. Here's the neutrophil. It activates other cells as well, and it also goes direct and kills pathogens. Now here's your natural killer cell. It's responsible for communication and kills pathogens. Here are the complement proteins. Now, the complement proteins are a special bunch of proteins. They're responsible for the first stage of pathogen disabling and marking. So, there's a bunch of chain reactions that happen that when an infection goes, that the complement proteins take part in. So, they basically highlight them, but they mark the pathogen. They squeeze themselves in so that other proteins can wedge in as well and build like a receptor for other immune cells to come and latch on and do their work. And they also slow them down. They try their best to halt the advance of these pathogens. Here's your mast cell. Mast cell is important for communication, and it's also a good worm defense cell. This causes inflammation as well, and it also activates other cells. Here's your monocyte, another guard cell. It stays on standby mode, so it's always ready to be activated, right? At the first site, it goes immediately, kills pathogens, and it makes strategic decisions regarding on what to do, what information to pass, who to call for, etc. Here's your follicular dendritic cell. Uh, these dendritic cells receive these information from these communication passers, right? And it will activate other cells alongside these dendritic cells, right? They activate other cells, and they also make strategic decisions. Now, these cells will either decide the two main decisions that they take are either whether to call, which forces to call. Are they gonna Are they gonna call an antibacterial force, or are they gonna call an antiviral force? Here are your memory helper cells. They are communications. They're communications, but they also remember invaders. So in the case that the same one comes up again, the same illness comes up again, the same bunch of pathogens comes up again, they know and they can easily assemble a defense quicker. And it also activates other cells. Here's a basophil. A basophil activates other cells, also causes inflammation, and it's also a really good defender against worms. Eosinophil, it causes inflammation. It's also a good worm defense, and it also activates other cells. Here's your virgin helper T cell. Why it's virgin is because it's not been activated yet, which is why it stays on standby mode, and it will also activate other cells. Communication, when this becomes activated, right, helper T cell, and it activates the other cells. Basically, a lot of these immune cells that are fighting, they kind of they expend energy and kind of wear out and die, could become close to dying. But these go up there and rejuvenate them. It's like, we need you still. Don't die yet. Yeah, some of them become memory helper T cells, so they're good for communication and they remember invaders. Is your virgin killer T cell. So these are the ones that are on it and just take them out and take the pathogens out, right? They stay on standby mode and they destroy infected cells. Yeah. Here are your antibodies. Antibodies are made by these weapons factories called the B cells, which we will get to soon. They are the second level of pathogen marking and disabling. A bunch of these bind on and they go and just rip the pathogen to shreds and try to halt it. And if there's loads of antibodies on one, it also marks it, makes it a really big target for other immune cells to come destroy. Now here are the killer T cells, right? They destroy the infected cells. A lot of times, especially viruses, they occupy cells, right? Um, they they use it as a manufacturing factory, right? So that cell, all its purpose now is to just make new copies, right? And you'll just be destroyed afterwards. It doesn't even do any work for the body anymore. So it's infected, then it will be taken care of by the killer T cell. Just be destroyed. This is especially important for cancer, as when the cells go rogue. Now here are the memory killer T cells, right? It remembers the invaders, right? Disassemble a defense more easier, and only a select few get to remain as memory cells because these immune cells are already very destructive, right? Others commit suicide so as to not harm the body, not take up more resources, right? They're easily replenishable, but select few get to remain as memory cells as a record of that invasion. So here's the version B cell. Again, it stays on standby mode until activated, and it produces antibodies. Here's the B cell, so it also activates other cells and produces the antibodies. Memory B cell, again, select few get to remain as memory cells. The others commit suicide. They're very powerful, right? No need to have excess weapons factories in times of peace. So it produces antibodies as well, but it remembers invaders, so it'll know exactly what type to produce. So what can you do to help your immune system out? Get enough sleep because your body needs to rest. This is where most of the important work of the system happens, which can be done with efficiency. Um, when you're asleep, right? Have you ever gone to sleep when you're sick, right? And you just wake up with sweat around you, but for some reason your illness is tamed? Yeah. That's because when you're at rest, when you're not expending energy on everything else, right? Like walking, talking, eating, urinating, defecating, all that, you that's valuable energy that could go towards the immune system. So when you're at rest, that's when it's most efficient. That's where most of the energy, that's where more energy is diverted towards the immune system to go and fight. Just get rid of it. Drink plenty of water because lots of fluids are expended via sweat, via feces, via urine, via droplets from coughing, moisture, vomit, snot, anything. A lot of fluids are expended when the immune system is fighting a disease. Because through the endocrine system is a big system that collaborates with the immune system. The endocrine system is responsible for the cycling of water and salt in your body, but and so it really collaborates with that, right? If you have cholera, obviously, like if you have cholera, then that's why you have diarrhea, right? Really running diarrhea. So you have to expend that out via feces, right? That's excessive feces, excessive defecating, right? But those are a lot of fluids that are expended, right? You need to keep replenishing your fluids, right? Because that's their one-way ticket of chucking all the dead cells out and whatnot. And one thing to avoid are diuretics. Diuretics are drinks that actually dehydrate you. Some include coffee and alcohol, and they just draw water out. They don't do anything. That's why when having coffee, right, you might have these coffee headaches. Yeah, that's because you're dehydrated, right? So drawing out the water. Avoid antibiotic use for the wrong illness. Now, here's one thing that especially people get wrong, and it's mainly just out of laziness, like sheer laziness. Like if you just have like if you have like the sniffles or something like that, right? If you just have if you have the flu or something like that, a lot of people just go and pop some antibiotics and then get back up. But they're only good against bacteria. They do absolutely nothing against virus. They're biotics. Like living things. Like they're better for living things. Viruses are not even living things. They're just clusters of RNA and they're just clusters of RNA and bits of DNA packed together. They can only reproduce inside a cell. They're virtually helpless outside. But bacteria are the ones that the antibiotics can only recognize and destroy. So, and the thing is that antibiotics are tactical nukes as well. So like they'll destroy good bacteria as well. There's bad bacteria that it will destroy, but in the process, good bacteria is destroyed as well. And you need all these good bacteria because there's good bacteria in your body that actually help your immune system. So it also is a setback for it. So in case of antibiotics, right, if they destroy lots of good ones, right, you might see that through antibiotic-associated diarrhea. You can replenish them through probiotics, because when it's chock clear, full out, when the good bacteria are flushed out through your gut microbiome, right? That when it's little, that sets a stage for one particular bacteria, right, to hurt the diversity by being the dominant force, right, to take up everything in there. That is not that is absolutely not good because it'll cause diseases like Clostridium difficile. So you can replenish them through probiotics. Um, they will help contribute towards the gut microbiome. But antibiotic use for the wrong illness is, again, heavily suggested to avoid. Know which illness you have. If it's viral, then just sit tight and don't really and just let your body rest. If it's seriously bacterial, then maybe you can consider getting antibiotics if the situation's like really dire. And here's the thing: why I say don't eat antibiotics willy nilly is because antibiotics are frequently used to wrongly fight viruses and like other non-bacterial illnesses. Now, this contributes to the development of antibiotic-resistant bacteria. Some bacterial diseases that we like basically have under control, some that even wiped off the face of the earth, back that afflicted people back in centuries ago, right? Might start are actually popping up again. Why are they popping up again? Is because of it's because when studied, they're actually managing to survive. They're actually managing because bacteria are a living species. They've evolved throughout the years, so it's entirely possible that some bacteria end up getting some gene, some mutation right in their code that allows them to defend against those antibiotics, some common antibiotics that we use. So therefore, if they manage to defend against them, then we're in trouble because then they'll start spreading, right? And with the antibiotics that we have, we can only throw them, we can only like throw those antibiotics at them in vain because they aren't going to do anything. So, uh, so this is why you need to avoid antibiotic use if you have a viral infection or any other non-bacterial infection. Even then, it's indirectly affecting us as well because antibiotics are also used in meats in lots of slaughterhouses, which is another good alternative to go to vegetarian, right? That cut meat out is because slaughterhouses are the most are like absolutely foul places where disease spreads due to overcrowding. I'm pretty sure you don't. I'm pretty sure you don't clean up after these animals, right? That you're gonna butcher, right? It's just absolute like heaven if you're a bacteria or a disease wanting to breed there. And just to keep these animals healthy, they pump the farmers pump them with they just throw antibiotics in their food, and then when you get the meat in your burger or something, it's saturated with antibiotics. And when you're putting that in, do you not think that the bacteria can also and it could also be contact any it could come into contact with these and develop a resistance? Yeah, that's very much a possibility. So antibiotic resistance is a big thing that you really need to be careful about using antibiotics. Lower your stress. Now, cortisol is a hormone that's produced out of stress, and it has an adverse effect on your immune system because it suppresses it, right? It doesn't allow it to work to the fullest of its capabilities. So you should take breaks often, invest in new hobbies, exercise for at least an hour a day, put the phone down, etc. Be sanitary. You need to wash your hands thoroughly, prepare all meals properly, and stay away from people if you are sick. Consult a doctor regularly, and if symptoms worsen, you have to vaccinate often. Big thing against viruses, right? Main thing about viruses is you can get there's vaccines. And vaccines do not cause autism. That is some absolute garbage theory suggested as propaganda to fearmonger, and that's just gonna introduce stronger. That's gonna contribute to viruses getting stronger, more more spreading rate. Reason why vaccines are there is because there's reasons why how vaccines work because it's just a weakened form of the virus. Like say take E. coli. If you have E. coli, you have a weakened form of E. coli, and you inject it. Well, that's basically kind of a training. It's kind of a training regimen for your immune system, right? It's regular training so that you will be able to defend it later on. When the real E. coli comes up, the immune system is well equipped to deal with it, and basically it'll deal with it before you even know it. You won't even know that if the immune system has to deal with it or not because it just does it so fast. So that's why we say vaccinate often, especially when you're a child, right? Against stuff like hepatitis, mumps, rubella, Spanish flu, and stuff like that, and clean and dressed wounds. Open cuts are a big source for pathogens to get through. So make sure if you get cut or something like that where it's like opening, make sure to put a band-aid over it, tie it over with a bandage, and yeah. Take cold showers. Here's the thing. A lot of times, bacteria can actually, if can actually come up. Can actually come up, right? Pathogens can actually come up on your skin and whatnot, right? Because you overwash, and when you overwash, you have a tendency to, when you overwash, you wash off too much, including the good bacteria. Including the good bacteria, you take too much. Like there's more dirt actually accumulates because you get rid of the you get rid of the self-cleaning elements that are on there. So if you take warm showers, you have a tendency it gets comfortable in there. One has a tendency to stay in there for too long, and it washes up too much. So yeah, you could be in there for like 30 minutes, which is way too much. And not to mention whether how our environment's going. Clean water, as much as it is a necessity, is not becoming a necessity. Might not be a necessity. It might not be in stock soon enough. So it helps save water, save it, and it also cuts down on your water bill. So that's an added bonus. But just take cold showers. It'll actually keep you out of the shower. It's good. It's very refreshing, good for your skin. But yeah, you'll be in there less. You'll be in there less. You won't be that comfortable in the shower. So take cold water. Will get you out of there fast. Thank you for watching.